Yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Reverend Q at Africa USA Radio. We are here, Drive Home Show. But today we are not talking to the artist, as we've been promoting and advertising this new baby that we started, the new program called From the Clergy's Perspective. That's what we are doing today. We are having a guest and we are talking about from the clergy's perspective. And today we'll be talking the money matters, and which is always interesting to everyone. Money matters. It's a big deal, especially in the church, in the ministry, because a lot of people have questions and a lot of people have different ideas about how money to be used in church. So we're gonna try. We don't claim to know it all, but we're gonna try to explain some of these things that involve money in the church. If you have any question, please feel free to send your questions. You can now because we are live on Facebook, you can inbox them, you can type on the comments, we can also see your comments, we can read your comments. Also you can also write to Africa USA Radio 1 at gmail.com and send your comments and send your questions so that we can interact and talk to you and see if we can help each other as far as these topics are concerned. And also, we want to ask you to share the live, to share the clips, the videos that we have, so that we can spread wild. Because we still want to reach as many people as we can, as well as we want to grow this channel. Yes, from the clergy's perspective, today we are having none other than Pastor Loyiso Tembisa Kamachoba. He's here. He's an author. He's a pastor. He's a marriage counselor. He's a very well invested in the ministry. So it's is an asset. Is a great asset in the kingdom of God, in the kingdom work. And we thank God for his time. We thank God for his knowledge and for his passion for the work of God. So right now, please help me welcome the servant, the man of God, all the way from Pretoria, South Africa. His name is Loyiso Tembisa Kamachoba. Boo, 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 boo. Welcome, Pastor. How are you doing?
Thank you, Rev Chu. I'm doing quite fine. I hope you're well too.
We are doing good. We are doing good. We are at summer here in the US and it's hot, but God is good. And I know that over there you are cold. Don't never mind. You American viewers, don't never mind him seeing him on a bottleneck or polo neck, whatever you call it. Is because he's in winter. No, we
Yes,
are
yes.
doing fine,
We
my
are in
brother.
different seasons.
And thank you for your time. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for your ministry. Just intro. I've already introduced you, but if I missed anything, just greet the people and then tell them about your work and what you're doing, and then we're gonna jump into our topics. Like I said, people of God, we are talking money matters today.
Let me take this opportunity to officially greet all the viewers who are watching us from all over the world. This is Loiso Tembisa. I am a pastor, an author, the worship leader. But most of all, I'm the child of God. I'm born again. I am married with 3 children. I'm happy to be here today, and I believe that God is gonna use us to share some insight, some biblical perspective concerning the topic of money. And thank you for having me once again.
Let's jump on it. Let's jump on it, Pastor. Thank you for your time. There's a lot of people who are complaining or who have concern about the luxurious life that preachers and pastors are enjoying, and they be thinking that maybe it's because of their donations, of their tithes, of their offerings, and sometimes it is good. It is right. I was talking to another pastor. He was saying that even if he can afford some of the things, he said his in his life when he grew up, he always wanted to drive a Porsche,
Yes.
and uh, and
Yes.
he didn't only start as a minister. He worked secular job. He was an engineer, and he could afford the Porsche. But when God called him to the ministry, he told his church, he said, I cannot buy a Porsche because I'm waiting for you guys to be blessed, because I cannot be blessed alone as a pastor. So I want,
Yes.
I'm babysitting you right now. I want to drive a Porsche, but I'm not going to drive it because I don't want to drive a Porsche while you guys are walking. So tell us what do you think from the pastor's perspective? What do you think about the man and the pastor? We're gonna go on and go to the church and go to the all the department of the church, but let's start with the pastor. Tell us your views.
Well, what I can say is that, the pastor in question is someone who is having the shepherd's heart, someone who is considerate to the flock, who knows that there shouldn't be too much of a vast gap between a leader and his followers. You see, this thing of pastors wanting to be rich alone, wanting to be blessed alone, wanting to flourish alone, while they neglect their so called followers who are, because they speak about God blessing us, but you find the pastor being the only one who has to be seen flourishing. So I think the pastor was aware of the fact that if he happens to have extravagant opulence in his personal life ahead of the church, then there's likelihood that people will start saying that he's eating their money. So he's trying to balance the equation, and I think I like his attitude.
Yes. So in generally, what would you say, pastors? How uh, do they even Paul said, I bless you, or I give you spiritual blessings. You need to
Yes.
take care of my material stuff. How far can that go? Because, like I say, it sometimes confuses Christians. Man, we are giving every time, we're giving, and we are poor, and some of them they don't have jobs. Some of them they get the less money, but they have to give church. And the giving is a principle. It's a good thing. But when the
Yes.
pastor now is getting more richer and more blessed, because he's blessed too because of his giving, probably, maybe because of his discipline, I don't know. But what would you try
Yes.
to be on the this time, try to be on the side of the members, and then explain to us
Yes.
what do we expect?
Okay. Anything that is done in excess or extreme is likely to have disadvantages. The verse has clearly alluded, like you are saying, to the fact that those who give spiritual must be rewarded with material things. That is just a basic requirement, but it never gave us issues of the limits and all of those things. That's why now it needs a personal conviction from a pastor to have that maturity, wisdom, and realization, like I said earlier. But now, from the members' perspective, I would want to say that we all want to have our pastors living right, having things that are okay. I don't think any member should have malicious intent in wanting to see their pastors being poor. But having said that, it has to be done, like I say, in a regulated manner, in a manner which is accountable, and not with evil intentions of wanting to get a quick rich scheme or seeing us as your business, as cash cows and all of that. We still your members, we still your disciples. You must treat us as such. So if you want more money, you rather do side hustles, write books, do other things aside. But with us, you must just accept what we are able to offer based on our affordability and our strength. Because you find pastors now resorting to tactics of manipulation just because they want more money that members do not have.
Oh, yeah, that manipulation, it's a big deal. It's even also being talked about in the secular world. People who are not even church, they say, I don't want to go to church because I'm enriching a man. I don't want to go to church because these pastors don't care about us. All they care about is money. So uh, manipulation. Do Christian? I would say Christians should have a spirit of discernment. But what would we say for the people that we still want them to come in? We want to preach the gospel to them. What can we say to them? Don't look at the pastor. Just look at God. I don't think it's enough explanation.
Yeah. Um, well, I do not think that it is wrong to teach about a biblical way of giving, because giving is a biblical principle.
Mhm.
So the fact that there is abuse of something does not negate the fact that it is still something which has to be preached and practiced. The only thing to do is just to teach the godly and an appropriate way of doing it. Because if now we will start getting skeptical of teaching about giving because there is abuse, then it means we will still miss certain biblical principles which has certain benefits that people will still, because it's a biblical principle. But we can just only caution people against the abuse and the ill discipline among the clergy, which is what should happen. So we have to teach them. It's written there in the scripture that you give as you have purposed in your heart, not grudgingly, not being forced, which is the manipulation aspect. But now, if you find yourself being pushed now to do over and above what you are able to do or what you have decided, that's now where the red flags should start, and you say, no, not it is not written like that.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't even want to get into the specifics of giving, like tithes, because that's also a topic of on its own. But I really appreciate you, because yes, the church need to be taught giving, and we hope that the world, the secular world, the people who are not in yet, they will first receive Christ, because you cannot start talking about the money church. You don't even know the person we are trying to preach to you, the Christ and Him crucified. But anyway, let's move on to. There's also another uh, question and maybe problem in the church now, inside the church. There's a pastor. We have a pastor. We have worship leaders. We have gospel artists. We've got music ministry. Does is music
Yes,
ministry in the church? And we know it's vital, it's very important. But
yes.
is it supposed to be also part of the full-time staff, or is what I'm trying to say? Do they need a full-time salary so that they can maintain themselves, or they need to uh, what volunteer at church and have their secular job somewhere? How do you How do you think the church need to deal with that?
Well, I'm not sure about that part of your world there, but in my country, we recently had a very, very, very big tsunami topic around the same issue, which was trending for almost a week, where
Mm,
a famous bishop of a mega church was actually radically speaking against the paying of musicians in church.
okay.
So there was extremes and loopholes on both himself and those that were attacking him, because it ended up becoming an attack and it was just out of hand. But what I can say is that, firstly, the people that serve in the church, regardless of whether musician or usher or other, they are all supposed to serve as sons of the house. They are
Mm-hmm.
all supposed to serve as the members of that church. But what usually happens when it comes to issues of the band, it's usually the fact that there is no skill in the house for that. Hence, now the need for hiring, of which in that case, now there has to be a clearly defined agreement about the terms of the hiring, whether it's a worship leader, an artist, or a musician who is hired from outside. But people who are raised from here, people who have been raised from here, who have been groomed from here, I don't think you can expect to be paid from within your home. It's almost like in the natural, you raise your child, and then when they are older, you cannot suddenly expect that when you ask them to go and buy you bread in the house, and then you must also pay them, or you ask them to wash your car, you must pay them. That is your son in the house. But if you hire a skill, a talent that you do not have in house, that's where now issues of payment should come in. That's the first aspect of it.
So
The other, yes,
go ahead, go ahead.
the other aspect now of it is that whether worship leader or other. But if there is someone that voluntarily dedicates themselves to that ministry to say that now I want to be a full time here, maybe I'm going to be a music director, I'm going to be a whatever, whatever, and I fully dedicate to this. I will not be taking any other outside work which is going to compromise or disturb my time with the church, and I don't have employment. I fully dedicate to this cause. I think in that case, there has to be a bit of compensation that is done, but with the arrangement and with the agreement of the pastor. Not only with worshippers, by the way, because I think that's another problem where we put worshippers as superstars and forget that there are cleaners in the house, there are car guards, there are ushers, there are other people that serve. You see, as much as we only always put it with worshippers, but in reality, everyone who serves should we should check the conditions upon which they serve, whether they are the sons of the house or they are people who are hired. So that's my take on the matter. I've been a worship leader for over 2 decades, by the way. I never put any financial demands. I never charge anyone. If I am blessed financially, I accept. But of course, if I go out of the local church, then of course they have to compensate me because now I'm like a higher skill. It's not in my local. So that's my take on the matter. But if the church is well off, can pay everyone, the worshiper and everyone else, then it's also fine. But there shouldn't be issues of demanding, especially from the son of the house. That's my take on the matter.
So, what I'm hearing you is you are separating between the music ministry, gospel music ministry, and gospel music industry. There's separation there.
Well, I'm trying not to, but where I'm getting it is to the fact that even a gospel artist that serves in their particular local church, they are still sons in their church. They are not superstars in their local church. But when they go outside, that's when now they can be treated as a gospel artist and get all the perks that go with being a gospel artist, unless there is a special arrangement that they will have with their pastor. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to create a patriotic attitude here for people to own up to their own local church, to say we prepared to roll up our sleeves to serve in the church, and where there are compensations we appreciate, but if there are none, we still serve regardless because this is our local church, this is our home. Like in the natural, like I say, a medical doctor, maybe a medical doctor in their rooms or elsewhere, but in their home, if there's someone who has emergency, they don't need to say, where's your medical aid? Pay me first. They still use their professional skill here because now it's a family affair. So that's where I'm getting it. But I know that this will not make me to have any favor with most singers and gospel artists, but that's just how I am convicted in this regard.
But
In your local church, you can't be treated like a superstar in your local church. Unless you are employed, there's an agreement, there's an upfront communication in that regard.
So pastors need to work hard because they are artists, gospel artists who is doing a secular music or jazz or quiet or whatever, and then they don't get saved. They just see another opportunity. Oh, I can sing like gospel singers. They see another opportunity. They just go to the studio and record. So they classify themselves as artists. They don't want to associate themselves with the church. They don't want to associate themselves with the pastor. They are just gospel artists because they can sing gospel. And I think though you're right. I don't think people like that we should be inviting them in our churches because they are not born again. First of all, and then they won't benefit. They can only benefit with their music via radio, via selling their music, right?
Yeah. But unfortunately, we end up compromising as churches, especially if someone has a crowd pulling effect of attracting crowds. We compromise in that regard. And also now when you go to issues of instrumentalists, that is another challenge we have, especially on the pianists, where
Mm-hmm.
you find out that most of them, they drink, they sleep around, they do all the things, they even drink until Saturday late or Sunday in the AMs and come to church in the morning smelling alcohol just to play for us because we don't have an internal skill. Those are the prevalent challenges that have been a generational issue in the church. So I don't know really. May we find ways to raise sons from within, to groom them, to make sure that they are born again, they are saved, so that they will be using their skill as part of their service and worship unto God, and not just come as performers in the church, but as servers and worshippers.
Let's go to other areas. Let me check my time first. Let's go to other areas of money. Ever since I
Yes.
was born, growing up, every church has a something called building fund. That building
Yes.
fund has never filled up those coffers. It's always money for building. I know sometimes we use them for other things, repairs and buying. If you have
Yes.
if you have a church, but some they've
Yes.
been doing building funds and they have no church. It's just they're still in that shack or in that garage or whatever the case. Uh, what? How can we? Because all I'm trying to do is to make people who wants to be Christians, who want to accept Christ, who wants to be members of the church,
Yes.
to be comfortable with how
Yes.
the church deals with money.
Yes. Ish, yeah, no, the story of building fund is quite a controversial one, because the pastor, we have a case here in my land where there's a pastor who started collecting building fund in the early 2000s, and they are still collecting it even now. But it later emerged that they were somehow misusing the funds, and there were a lot of problems. Yes, the building ultimately was there, but you find out that maybe it must have been probably far less than what the money was collected. So I think now there has to be a way where the pastor and the part of the building committee is people who are people of integrity. There should be accountability. There should be constant reporting in terms of the financial report. This is how much we have collected so far. These are the potential sites or lands or buildings that we are looking at. They cost this much. We will need to collect this within a certain period. So far, we have done this much. We have many people. We have 4 or 5 people who are having access to the building. So that it will not just be a family affair or a pastoral access only, because the temptation is huge, very huge. So there should be constant update of what is happening, and there should be time frames, timelines that we work towards,
Do you,
based on the strength and the pace. You see, but
do you
now
think
we
that?
need,
Go ahead.
yes. No, I was saying, but we do need to have the building fund, but it has to be done for its intended purpose and within the prescribed timeline, and not be exceeded to other motives now and personal benefits. That's not the right one now. That one is wrong.
Do you think as pastors we need to accept and confess that we really don't have business minded skills or money management skills, or maybe it's pure corruption? Because sometimes pastors they worry about is the flock, and then while they're mismanaging money, unaware, most of them maybe to be a devil advocate here, maybe some of them are unaware that they're misusing money. Maybe it's a lack of skills, maybe it's a lack of understanding how to manage money. Maybe they are too generous. They say, hey, one of our members is sick. They take the money and give it to that family, and then
Yes,
they take from the wrong coffers. How can we deal with
yes.
that?
I believe that, like you're saying, wrong coffers, which means each and every project has to have its own account. You should not have
Mhm.
one pool for everything, because that will cause a serious friction and confusion. And also, the one who has access to withdraw the money cannot be the pastor. The pastor must report to other people and explain what the money is for. It means now even the people that work with him must also be people of integrity. It cannot be that the pastor, whenever they want to buy money, to use money, they just use it just like that, even for things that are not within that which it was collected for. So for free will, we know that it has to be for general maintenance of the church and other things. For tithes and offerings, we know that that's where now that's another thing, by the way. Other churches have a pastoral salary, which is collected from the pool of money is collected per month. But other churches, it's a case where the pastor feels entitled to say that all the tithes, they are mine. They come to me. I don't need anyone to allocate them for me. It's mine. I'm the one who may decide who I give, but it's all mine. So it's those two different kinds of systems that operate in churches. So it's a bit tricky because the Bible says, bring your tithes into my storehouse. The storehouse is Christ, is God's storehouse, not the pastor's storehouse. But the pastor now has to get allocated his portion from the storehouse. And that verse went on to speak about the poor, the visitors, the needy, and all. It's not only about the pastor, but the pastor thinks 100% touches for them. They don't check the needs of the poor. They don't check what other people who are in need at the church. Hence, from the initial point we raised it, you end up now finding pastors living opulent and extravagant at the expense of the members. But there should be an account for each and every type of monies in the church. And when there's a need in the church, the money should be taken on that specific account for that specific thing. There should be invoices and receipts which are kept. There should be proper accountability. And unfortunately, pastors think that they are entitled to the monies of the church. They treat the church like it's their personal entity, their personal business. So they don't feel the need to sometimes account. And that's not a right attitude, unfortunately.
While we are still there, I'm going to move on to some other things. But while we are still there, there's also now a trend going on that it's like it's a family business. When the pastor is retiring or dying, the son or the daughter take over. Is a pastor now. We don't know whether it's called or it's just running his father's business. Is that scriptural or biblical? I know in the Bible, some of them they took over from their parents. Yeah. But what do you think about that?
And it's like it's a fashion thing now. It happens both in your country and in my country. In fact, it happens globally, everywhere.
Everywhere.
You see, when we grew up seeing those businesses in the townships, which would be written Tembisa and Sons Butchery. You knew that butchery is for me and my sons, both the ones who are alive and the ones who are coming. But now, if we use the same mindset in the Church of Christ now, that one is a bit tricky. But having said that, though, I personally have no issue if you use that methodology, whereas your biological son is genuinely saved, has genuinely grasped the vision, has genuinely been prepared for this task ahead of them. But unfortunately, that method sometimes, or most of the times, it somehow disadvantages those who started with your father from when the church was still small, who were hopeful that maybe one day this thing will fall in their hands. So it's a bit tricky, really. I see people doing it. I don't know whether it's working or not. I don't know. And I know most of the time it's not always that it's God-led. It's a spirit-led move. It's just the emotion involved. It's the blood is thicker than water kind of an arrangement.
It's an inheritance.
Yeah, it is. And most of the time, where God is not in that, after the founder dies, then the ministry also dies because it changes direction, changes purpose, changes operation. Then you find that the son is not graced enough to handle the pressure that comes with what their father started. But of course, there are others who are able to do things and they work out. So in such cases, that's why I'm saying I can't fully discourage it or encourage it. I'm neutral on it to say that if it's a God-ordained move, it's fine. And if the son has been equipped, you can't just take your son from the shebeen or a beer hall just closer to the time of retirement and you clean him up artificially just so that they take over. because the true colors will manifest eventually. But if it's a son who's been raised from the church, has been serving all these years as a normal child of God, as a son in the house, serving and growing, then maybe to some degree it's forgivable. So I'm in between.
We're still here at Africa USA Radio from the clergy's perspective, and we are with our special guest here today from Pretoria, Pastor Loyiso Tembisa, and you can tell he knows what he's talking about as he as he explains the money matters in the church, because it's one of the greatest weapon that the devil is using, both in both directions. It's using for pastors to be greed, pastors to be misuse funds, and also it's using it for the people who are skeptical, who have a problem with seeing money being overspent or being overused or just giving at all. People don't want to give.
Yeah.
So the devil uses money in all kinds of ways to destabilize and destroy the ministry. Also, the church, Pastor,
Yes.
I think it's responsible. Its responsibility is to groom and to raise the young people. Do the church has to have funds? I know our church here have a scholarship fund, whereby
Yes.
one of our youth went to college, and but we also have requirements. We want you to go to the first semester and have a certain grades like A's and
Yeah.
B's before you can qualify for the next semester's scholarship if you continue. So, do the people who complain about money in church, can they be accept giving if they know that, okay, the money also is being used for youth developments, for the scholarship, for programs in the church, that we used to have camps back in the day. The church can sponsor a camp group, take some money there. Can that at least solve some of the church money problems?
Well, with regards to your question, I think that churches in general should be versatile. They should be relevant, and they should be also societally conscious. You cannot be a church that does not have a feeding scheme. You cannot be a church that does not have money which takes care of the hungry, the downtrodden, the disadvantaged, and that also same applies to the widows and the elderly, which is a biblical prescript, by the way, and also the youth, the young people. You see, a church that does not invest in young people, from Sunday school right up to the youth levels, you cannot only focus on the exciting things with the youth, the camps, the youth services, the conferences, and you spend thousands there. That one is fine, but you also have to do long term and futuristic events and activities. There is a church that I was raised at, Assemblies of God, Back to God movement in South Africa. It has what we call an education fund, which assists learners when they are challenged in that regard. So they don't have to depend on the government scholarship or bursaries. They can just apply in their local church, and then the application is motivated, and then they are approved. So, I mean, churches ought to be very, 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 very much involved on issues of the youth for futuristic purposes, because the very existence of the very church, you might be grooming the next senior pastor for the church. You might be grooming the next president of your country, who will in turn sponsor the same church. You might be grooming the next millionaire or the next billionaire in future, who might just decide to pay off all the debts of the church, or pay for a building, or do other things which are far more bigger than the seed that you planted. So investing in the youth is always an encouraging thing, because it means that you are future oriented. You are not just looking at things just before you. Empowering of youth, yes, is necessary.
I very much agree with the youth part, but sometimes, I mean, I agree with everything, but sometimes, like we have a pantry in the church, we have like a feeding scheme in the church. Sometimes it tends to be disadvantageous because people now they don't come for Christ; they come for for food, and you have a problem that there's a you know in one church that I used to be associated with. Every Tuesday
Yeah.
we have a pantry where people they can come and pick up some few items, groceries every Tuesday. It's
Yeah.
still happening even
Yeah.
today, every Tuesday. But you find that
Yes.
that Tuesday, the church is more packed than Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to balance these things, but people they tend to be very
Yeah.
they're really lambs. They just want to be shepherd all the time.
Yeah, you see, this thing was even a challenge even during Jesus' time. He even rebuked them to say, "Are you following me because of my words or because of
Mhm.
the food I gave you?" But having
Mhm.
said that, though, it still does not stop our obligation because on the other side, Jesus says, "I was hungry and you fed me.
Fed
I
me.
was in prison, you visited me. I was naked, you clothed me." You find out that in some cases, because of skepticism, you might end up canceling that project while you will disadvantage those who genuinely need the services and who are genuinely hungry for Christ and also in need of the physical assistance. So those people who are chance takers will always be there, but it doesn't have to stop us from doing the good. Unfortunately, it's God who can measure the motives of the people. It's only if He could give us a sixth or a seventh eye to see inside their heart to say, within that long queue of 150 people, only 50 are sincere, the other 100 is playing with us. Then we were going to easily say, we turn them back. But now, because we can't, we just have to serve all of them. Then those that we trust that God will save and win over genuinely will win over. But those who are taking advantage of us is fine. It's not like they don't need food. The reality is that they do need food, even if they might end up not taking our Christ at that moment.
We are still listening to Pastor Loiso Tembisa. He's an author, so please get his book, The Dreamer. Uh, the Life of a Dreamer. The Life of a Dreamer. It's a book written by him. It's out. It's for sale. He's gonna tell us before he leaves. He's gonna tell us how to get it, where to get it, and then please support him. And then he's also gonna tell us the church that is fellowshipping it, so that if you are in the area, you can go visit them. But we are still talking about the money issues at the church. Because those are the main problems that the churches have challenges with money, because money is the Bible's people. They also mess up. This scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil. People they just say
Yes,
the money is the root of all evil. Money is a blessing
yes,
to the church. Money is
yes,
needed in the church. Money is not a curse. Money is a blessing. So,
yes,
but the
yeah,
love of money, it's a root.
yeah,
It's not sin, but it's a root of all evil. So,
yes,
yeah, so don't be complaining about I we're paying money all the time. We're paying tithes. We're paying. I was talking to another pastor yesterday. Tithes is not even from the law. It's prior the law. It's before the law. So it's not tied
yeah,
in the law. It's
that's
before the
very true.
law, and so we cannot say no. We live under grace now. We don't live under law. It was grace then, and before the law. But
Yes,
Pastor, there's also we talked about education and scholarship and all that, and most of the
yes.
churches also have the schools now. They have schools. These schools should be funded by the church or should be funded by the parents of those children.
Yeah, no, well, most churches nowadays have their own schools, which they are doing as part of the church's fundraising and
Hmm.
also as part of the church's heritage so that they will be able to manage what is being taught and also put in some Christian and biblical attributes and attitudes. Of course, they usually encourage that the parents who are part of the church should be in the forefront of bringing their children to support the same vision of the same church. I mean, that's
Hmm.
something that is good. But now it should not only be confined to that. Even other children of other parents out there, It should operate like the normal school. It should attract as much as possible so that even other children whose parents are not part of the church can also get to have an opportunity to have a bit of influence of the gospel of Christhood and of the word, because there will always be moments where you have prayer sessions and all of those things. So it should be open to everyone and not just only be confined to the parents. But having said that, though, I'm aware that some parents may have certain preferences where they feel like they want to take their children to certain schools, whether they feel maybe that they are having more higher quality than this one. It's really something that is a personal preference. Where possible, they can put their kids, but if not, then I guess it is what it is.
And if you go to the to these mega churches, I don't know in South Africa, but here in the US, if you go to these mega churches, you found that there's really stores inside the church. It's either they're selling home decor equipment, or they're selling books, or selling gifts, gift cards, gift things. Uh, what Jesus said. Well, they were not. They were selling. They were selling when Jesus gave them
Yeah.
some little whipping there. Say, hey, you're turning to my house to be a house of trades.
Yes.
What would you say about that? I know I believe in fundraising, and I believe in
Mm.
if the church, or the church, we have authors at the church, they can display their books back there, so
Yes.
that
Yes.
if you want. But what do you think, is the church business, or is the church a ministry?
Well, the church is the ministry, but there can be a business side in the ministry. Me personally, I have no issue with people having any of those things as long as they are not compromising the time of worship, the time of the word, the time of spiritual fellowship. If they're done out of church service in their own times, I mean, I can't have a problem with that. I usually have a problem where people during the church service they will be installing a lot of things which will eat up on most of the time instead of focusing on prayer, worship, and the word and other things. But if it's done and it's even not within the temple and within the church, it's just other rooms and buildings which are attached, like a bookshop here, a coffee shop here, this, there, that. I really have no issue with that. I personally have no issue. As long as it will not disturb the time of the church. And anyway, I believe that it will even be a way of somehow employing some unemployed people from the church. You see, so I have no problem with that, as long as it is not going to be done during the church service or to affect the church proceedings.
If they pay them, they don't say volunteer for the ministry.
Yeah, no, in that case now it will be a different case because they are also making profit, so they
They're
ought
also
to
making
share.
money.
They also ought to share what they make there, especially to people who are unemployed. That one is a bit of a different setup altogether as far as I'm concerned. It is just another aspect of the church which is more on the entrepreneurial side. Still part of the church, but it's more on the other side. So I have no problem with that as long as things are done on board. And of course, you cannot be selling or things that are against your Christianhood. You cannot be selling things that are going to compromise you. Has to be things that are still within the context of acceptability. You can't just be selling controversial things, for example, that are against your belief.
There are a few people
And
watching on Facebook. If you have any question, please write it on comment section. If you don't want to write it on the comment section, you can also email it at Africa USA Radio 1 at gmail.com. Africa USA Radio 1 at gmail.com. And we're going to get those. And if they are directly to Pastor Tembisa, we will contact him and say, hey, people are questioning you. And then
yes,
he's gonna have to come back and answer for himself. But
yes.
thank you so much, Pastor, for this time. Anything else that I didn't ask that you think is essential for the listeners to hear about money? Let's just get that so that we can wrap this up.
All right. You know, God had to make an example of people serving mammon, which is the love of money, and
Mm-hmm.
himself. He put himself in the same level as money. In other words, this is showing us that money is one of those powerful things that can take people out of the will of God, out of the plan of God, and they can shift one's focus. In fact, most of the wrongs that are done out there, if you look at the root cause, it has money in it. Most of the things, the people who commit crime, they want money. The people who are selling their bodies, prostitution, they want money. Everything that is done wrongly, it's money related, but it's just money which is accumulated in a falsehood or in an evil way. So, hence, now the Bible is trying to fix our motives, fix our attitudes towards money, so that we do not put it on the same position as God. God should be the one that we love more than money. And when we love God more than money, even when He had blessed us with thousands or millions or billions, if He instructs us to give those monies that He has blessed us with, it will not be difficult for us to give to the work of God, to give to the poor, or to donate one of, if you have 7 cars, you will not have a problem in donating 3 of those 7 if He instructs you to, because you know that you are not saving the money. You are given it as a steward because He gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. You are not possessed by money. Money should not possess us. We should just have it and keep it and be stewards of it. But once now it takes the place of God, it can really ruin us and make us to lose focus. So, with those words, I just want to say we need it. It's necessary uh, in this natural world. Unfortunately, it's the only commodity that is required as a medium of exchange if you want something. But having said that, though, oh, by the way, while I'm saying this, it's not like people love money per se.
Mm-hmm.
People love the things that money can get for them. If there was another way at which we get those things apart from money, we were not going to love money. We were going to love that other exchange. If you needed to collect some leads of or some anything random. Let's say you have to collect some shoes, then you exchange shoes for what you need. We're all gonna run after those shoes, collect them, and then they will purchase us what we want. So we are not really loving money per se. We love what money buys us. We love the material things that money can give us. That's basically what the Bible means when it says the love of money. It means the love of things that money buys. Hence, in the book of Matthew, Christ even aligns it properly to say, do not worry about what you are going to eat, but what you're not going to drink. All those things, I know you need them and I will give you, but seek ye first the kingdom. He gives us a perspective and a priority to say God should be number one. We should chase the blesser and not the blessing. Then the blessing by virtue, it follows us. We should chase the source, which is God, and then the resources are part of the package when we have found God, the King, and in His kingdom, then all these things they follow us.
So I was looking down here. I was turning on my Bible to close Psalms 37. Psalms 37. I'm just gonna read verse 1 and 2 and 3. No, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
For they now let me start 3 and 4. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thy ways, delight thyself also in the Lord, and it shall give thee the desires of thine heart.
Yes.
So if you're a Christian, sometimes you don't have to fret and worry about money, because if you do good, he says just do good and you will be fed. So as we're talking about money and money issues, the principle of money, it's although we didn't talk about this, me and you, although some false narratives saying that they always talk about seed, but man is like a seed. You plant it and God
Yes.
rewards you. But I'm not saying those people, those preachers who abuses that term for their
Yes,
benefit. But
I
if you
understand.
give, it shall be given unto you. Uh, uh, the Bible says it will give you back to you. Run full, run over, and press down.
Yes,
You know the scripture. So you're gonna be
yes.
blessed by your giving. So if you don't focus on where the money is going, but focus on what do I give, why do I give, when do I give, how must I give. Focus on those things, and you'll be blessed. Thank you so much, Pastor, and we really, really appreciate your insight about money because money is a very important tool to further
Yes.
the gospel of Christ. I even did in church about the mission part of the money because every church has
Mm.
also to have a mission department where it needs money. Maybe you can say a few things about that.
Well, the issue of missions is part of the Great Commission, which says,
Hmm.
"Go ye therefore into all the world to make disciples." So, any church that does not have that, it means that they are not doing the holistic requirements of the Great Commission. So, you ought to have the evangelism, the outreach, and the missions section of the church, and there should be a special fund for that because that's where souls are won. Because you can't only just do conferences because most churches they love conferences, and sadly conferences they just recycle and just give you goosebumps and make you feel good and all of those things. They service the already reached souls, but they don't win the new souls from out there. So as part of our soul winning obligation, you ought to make sure that we put some investment on the issues of missions and so that the gospel can be spread to those who are not aware and who are not exposed just yet.
And that's another thing of these conferences. There are two things that
Yeah.
I don't appreciate with the conferences. One is money making a tool as well, and the second
Yes.
one they only do that for networking and marketing.
Yeah. There's no value in it anymore. And you find it being done in the same way for the past 15, 10 years. They just change faces and speakers, but everything is literally the same. I think we have to revisit this thing and maybe replace it with other things. I would rather we invest more on the missions, like we say, because we are winning new souls there. But now, because people know that with the mission side, there is no benefit, there is no comeback fee. There you lose, there you spend. But on the conferences, they find ways to make some money. There are registration fees here and there. There are this and that. But with there, it's all winning. You can't be coming to people winning souls and you put a registration fee. So that's where the trick is.
You don't go and preach in the wilderness and take collection and take offerings.
You can do that's now going to that thing you asked me where it will be like now people you introduce people to money before you introduce them to your God. That's
Dear
gonna be a
God.
wrong way. When a church goes to do a crusade or an outreach or anything out there as a missions work, you have to have planned for that and budgeted and save money for it so that you will not even do anything in terms of disturbing people with those things. Otherwise, it's a problem. You are going to be compromised.
Lord help us. Let's understand money in the church. Hey, Pastor Tembisa, man, I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed listening to you. You are very
Wow.
clear-minded. You are very articulate, and I would love to have you again here at Africa USA Radio on a different project, on a different subject. Unless the people have called you, good, I know. You didn't say right here, and then we're gonna have to come and clear your name. Another thing I like about you, you say in most cases, you say,
Yes.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it because some of these things are also personal,
Personal
but we all
preference. Yes.
personal preferences. So that's
Yes.
why we're just trying to share the ideas from the biblical perspective and from the clergy's perspective. But I thank you
And
so
I
much
think
for stopping by, man. Go ahead.
yes. Sorry. Oh, I was saying it. The thing is, in some issues, the Bible is not explicit. It's not very clear. It
Hmm.
didn't give us, for example, an instruction of saying, is it right or wrong to hand over the ministry to your child? we've seen a few examples. We've also seen examples where Moses and Joshua were also succeeding each other, where sometimes there's relation, sometimes there's not. So in cases where the Bible is silent, I also prefer to be neutral about it and not put a prescription. But otherwise, I'm prepared to answer any comeback and follow-up questions. If you want me again, it's fine.
Yeah, because even in the king side, David, his son
Yes,
Solomon took over. It all
yes,
on and on and on. But I don't know about the ministry. My father was a pastor. I pastored the church that he pastored for 2 3 years, and I left it for
yes.
somebody else, and I moved on because
Oh,
I was just doing the transition as well. Because he
yes,
moved to a different location, then I took over as soon as
yes,
well, I already graduated from the, like you say, sometimes it's better if you were serving at church, you
yes,
were you were involved. I was involved in the music department, playing instruments,
yes.
helping my father with his ministry. And then when he moved on and to start another church,
Another
another
branch.
ministry, another branch, and then I took over
Yes.
from that. And then, but
Oh,
I didn't serve long. I served 3 4 years, and then I moved to the US.
is it because you thought it was not something that you were meant for, or it's because of the US opportunity that came
No,
along?
no, no. I loved it. I loved it, and the church accepted me, and actually it grew. I was young then. It grew, especially the
Mm.
youth. We had
Yes,
more youth now, and it grew and became like a vibrant kind of church, like.
yes,
And it was accepted. But yes, God opened the opportunity for me to get a scholarship to go to the US, and I did
yes.
that. So, and then I left somebody else who was also my father's spiritual son
For a long time.
for the
Yes.
wrong time, and he took over until he
Oh,
passed on, and then continue. It's still, the ministry
oh,
is still there,
oh.
but somebody else, some young man now is pastoring from Zakan is pastoring there, which is a good thing. Which is a good
Oh,
thing. So,
yes.
and I don't know if this opportunity to come to the US didn't show up, if I was going to continue, because I
Yes.
also had a lot of other ideas in
Yes.
my mind. So,
Oh,
so I don't know
yes.
how. I'll always listen to what the Lord is telling us to do. So,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed working under his leadership, and I also enjoyed leading the church for that particular time. And the church really embraced me; they loved me. My father also was very, guess he was a visionary because he already
Yes.
established few of us exchanging
Yes.
the pulpit together, and doing different departments of the ministry. So he was really grooming all of us, me
Yes.
included as a biological and spiritual son, and
Spiritual
other
son. Yes.
spiritual sons. So it
Yeah.
was it was very well established. But anyway,
Right.
so thank you so much for taking this time. Please don't be a stranger. I will always give you a call and say, okay, I got the topic for you. And tell us where to get your books, where you find
Yes.
you, how to follow you, and how to attend to your ministry and all that, and how to invite you for the worship ministry.
Oh, okay. Um, I am on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and TikTok, and I go by the name. Okay, on Facebook it's Loiso Tembisa Kamachoba, but on other platforms it's Loiso with the tagline of my book behind you, which is The Life of a Dreamer. So Loiso, The Life of a Dreamer, or Loiso the Dreamer. So you find me on those because after I had that book, people started calling me the Dreamer, which is what I heard you earlier mentioning. So I am the Dreamer because of that. So I'm active on all those platforms, and I do have a lot of things that one can benefit from. I sometimes do live videos. I sometimes get invited to minister in different churches. I sometimes go to the media spaces and podcasts like this one or radio, TV. So there's a lot that the Lord can use to minister to your soul. The one who wants the book, because I still enjoy the physical and because I didn't know that there would be this overseas opportunity, but for people in my land, I'm still enjoying that physical interpersonal touch where I go physically to places. I go there to motivate, to speak, and then I sell the books, and then I do the book signings and we take pictures. So I haven't put them on any of these other platforms, whether bookshops or online. It's still with me. We just deal with courier. So which means in your case now abroad, we'll have to arrange some courier methods. By the way, it's two books. It's The Life of a Dreamer, which is the first book. The second one is Faith as Small as a Mustard Seed. It's a book about faith, but it's explaining it in different categories. So you just touch base with me on any of my pages, then we are able to communicate further. Or they can also contact you, then you are going to connect them with me. That can also work.
Yes. Also, I'm gonna see if anybody's coming over there. If somebody's coming over there, I'm gonna grab maybe 10 books and bring them over here so that we can sell them here, or even sometimes do giveaways. We can buy them from you and do some radio giveaways for some things. I've done that before with the books. So we'll just figure it out, me and you, how we're gonna do it. All I need is somebody who's there, or when I come there, then I can pick them up and bring them over for some, so that we can, so that we can say he's not just an author, but he's an international author.
Yes.
God bless you, my brother. Thank you so
That
much
is
for your time.
appreciated.
We'll check back with you as soon, and we'll have you back on our program again.
By the way, you have made me an international asset now. I'm no longer local anymore. I
Tell them,
appreciate
yeah,
it. Thank you so much.
tell them.
Yeah,
God
now
bless
I've gone international. Thank you. Keep well.
This was Pastor Loiso Tembisa, all the way from Pretoria, South Africa. And he was explaining about the money in the church, money matters in the church. And he did a very good job. You can also catch this live on Facebook and YouTube, so that you can just catch up with us, what we were talking about, what we were saying. And we thank you for your listening. This is Reverend Q at Africa USA Radio Drive Home Show. And this program was from the clergy's point of view, or from the clergy's perspective. And we thank you so much for listening. We thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to follow us at Africa USA Radio.com on the website or on the app. Also on Facebook, Africa USA Unity Events Radio and TV. On Instagram, Africa USA Radio. No, Africa USA Unity Events. On the TikTok, Africa USA Unity Events. And you're gonna be blessed. And we thank you so much for your time. God bless you. We love you. Bye for now.